Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa Conroy-Roth, and you are watching the latest episode of Lightning Leadership. With me today is someone I'm so excited to have on the show is Dr. Linda Bush. I have known Linda for many, many years. She was actually my first female manager in my whole career. So she's been a mentor for me. She's been a coach for me, and someone I genuinely think you should know. Linda Bush, welcome to Lightning Leadership.
Well, thank you, Teresa. I'm really excited to be here. To be reconnected with you is a joy, and so much has happened since we actually worked together. I feel like there have been a couple lifetimes of experience, and I guess I don't go public very often, so this is I never go public, so this is a big deal for me.
I love every second of it. So Linda, you have a PhD, you have 2 master's degree, one in divinity and one in therapy.
Well, I have 3.
Okay, you have 3. What's your third?
Well, I got a master's degree in English.
Yes.
At
Indiana
University. Yes.
Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers, absolutely. I loved my time in Bloomington.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you have gifts that I am so excited to share with folks. And so we're going to dive into those in just a couple seconds, though.
Okay.
What drives you? What are you passionate about when it comes to leadership?
Well, I have always been passionate. I guess I've had twin passions.
Okay.
And those passions are ideas and people. Ideas and people. I started my career as a teacher, and it was never work. It was like, I get to be with people and we get to talk about ideas. And more than that, I realized that inside of me is an absolute determination to help people grow. I'm all about growth. So that's what teachers do. And then I got into corporate training, and that's what you do when you're a corporate trainer and you develop programs. And then I decided I would try something else, which was divinity. And I got a master's in divinity so I could satisfy my own questions about who's really up there and what does it mean.
Yes.
And Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism. So I got that master's degree, and while I was in the process, I took a course in pastoral counseling.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know this. It's like there's this magic behind a door. And so I added the other master's degree in marriage and family therapy. So literally I've had 3 different careers. But this final one, what I do is I'm a licensed therapist, but I'm also an executive coach. And while I was in studying divinity, I did a lot of coaching, and I absolutely love executive coaching, where I'm working with leaders. That's what we did way back. And you were one of the very first leaders. When I saw you stand up, it's like, oh my gosh, Teresa cannot help herself.
That is correct. That is correct.
She is going to be a leader of people because you're just geared that way. Yeah. And there was just a natural affinity for us, and it was so much fun.
We did have a good. So you were in training, but you were also in adult education. You were creating leadership development programs to help people get to the next level. And so I want to just kind of really, really include that, because that was something really special that we were a part of.
Well, it was all about leadership development. I mean, there were several different programs having to do with the top management, having to do with other layers of management. And in the organization where we were, there was just so much opportunity to work with middle managers. And the culture we were in, which has been called one of the most challenging,
Yes,
was so performance oriented
it
that
was.
no one in management had a choice but to meet objectives and
It's
to
true.
meet them because there was very clearly established evaluation criteria.
There was. So let's talk about that. One of the things that I've never forgotten, and that's a lesson that you taught me, whether you realize it or not, is this concept of socialization.
Okay.
I have an idea. I'm going to bring you the idea and I'm going to tell you my idea and I'm going to want to get your buy-in.
Okay.
But I'm just, in some cases, my style before meeting you was, well, you should do this because I think it's a great idea and I said so, right? Which doesn't fly most of the time. But I watched you one day and you had an idea and you literally went to other VPs and other leaders and you just scheduled a coffee chat, just something very simple and very small. And you came back to the office and I asked you, how it went, what you were up to. And you had a twinkle in your eye and you sat back at your desk and you just said, I was socializing something. And we talked about it right over time, what this was. But it was an uncanny style and approach to not only listening and influencing and providing empathy, but having a conversation with someone where you're sharing the idea and you have no ego. And you get them, not only do you get there, tell us a little bit about your process.
Well, as we were chatting, it's a kind of unconscious competence that I just do it.
Yeah.
I think I see myself do it when I'm dealing with therapy clients, and I certainly see myself do it when I'm coaching executives. It comes down to listening very carefully and starting with the assumption that it's all about what's important to them. Everybody has ideas.
Yeah.
See, there's this concept out there. I've dealt with so many young managers who think, oh, wow, I have this great idea. Why don't we do? And then they get frustrated because they tell somebody and it dies.
Oh,
Well,
agreed. 100% agreed.
because everybody has great ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody comes up with stuff. The person, the leader, the one who is to be followed, is the one who figures out how to implement that idea. And from inception of that idea to implementation there's a lot of work in between. There's a lot of work. And my job was to help people, first of all, decide the idea was theirs.
Oh, that was absolutely key.
It has to be their idea. Because people, especially if you're working upward, if you're trying to influence your boss, your boss's job is to hold you accountable for performance. So how do you influence upward by saying, oh boss, I've got this wonderful idea, and then whine to everybody because the boss won't pay attention and pat them on the head and say, oh, aren't you a bright soul? Let me just open up the budget. Let me do let me just pave the path for you.
Big dreams.
Yeah. And yet, see, and yet the issue is you have these young managers who, especially as the generations are shifting, have gotten things quickly.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I want to be rewarded now. And oh, when can I be promoted? Oh, and I can't work evenings. And I can't, and I have to be gone by 5 o'clock because I have to feed my cat. I mean, literally, if you're going to be a leader, you have to roll up your sleeves and be prepared to work. And and you can't just say that to somebody like I'm saying to you right now.
No. And I think there's a point of collaboration, right? You're trying to influence in such a way that they don't realize that they're being influenced. On the other hand, you need their collaboration when you take the idea to a meeting, right? And so there's so many pre-meeting conversations that need to happen, right? So that when you get to the meetings, you've already brought in maybe your sponsors, maybe the people that are going to be part of the decision. But that was something I didn't even think about that I wished I would have had in my toolbox, or in my my pencil protector, my nerdy pencil protector at the time, right? Of saying I should probably have handled those things differently.
Well, every meeting has to have an agenda, and any leader who walks into a meeting and doesn't know why they're having it needs to cancel it immediately.
Well, let's talk about agendas. Okay. Let's talk about how you can unpack a hidden agenda. An agenda. Yeah. Tell me any tips or tricks for the folks that are listening on that particular topic.
Well, there's two parts to it. There's the person who is facilitating the meeting. That's the leader of the meeting. And there's so many different styles. As a facilitator, or when I was in charge of the meeting, I had a specific objective ahead of time, always. And I would often, as I recall, throw out, I've been wondering, or what do you think? Or here's a concept I've heard people talking about. How do you all feel about that?
Yeah.
To open up conversation with some questions. And it's just like in sales, you do not provide yes, no questions.
Open-ended questions, sure.
Open-ended questions where, how do you feel? What do you think? Why would this? Well, and I'll tell you, I always shy away from why, because why sometimes can produce a reaction when you were a child. Yeah, because when you're a child and somebody says, "Why did you do that?" You remember?
For me, it worked for no. It didn't.
Yeah, no, it that can produce an automatic defensive reaction in people, but the questions that you sometimes know the answer. Well, you almost always know the answer to.
You do.
And it takes work to prepare for that. The other thing is knowing who those people are in the meeting. And I guess maybe as I think about it, what I would do is in advance of a meeting, go around and talk to all the ones who are going to be involved. So that by the time there was a gathering, whether I was facilitating or not, you've got this idea on the table and I don't own it.
Yep. That's so true.
I don't own it. And it has to be about advancing the organizational objective.
Yes.
Not just making people happy. Not just solving a problem. That's a crisis management kind of thing, which goes in a different direction. But when you talk about socialization, it's like it's always about them. It cannot be about me.
Perfect.
You leave your ego at the door, because the greatest compliment is for someone who has more power than you to take your idea and run with it, because what that means is they're going to pay for it.
And on that note, Dr. Linda Bush, thank you so much for being a guest on Lightning Leadership. Check out Linda Bush. If you have any questions, check her out on LinkedIn. She is an executive coach. She is a therapist. She is who I look to for advice, my mentor, my coach. Linda, thank you again for joining us. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and LinkedIn, of course.
Thank you, Teresa. It's always a pleasure.
So excited. Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yay!
Yay!